What was your worst I forgot moment? When you are finished with your final exam, bring it up front and turn it in, along with your term paper. Term paper? Quote. I was playing Forza, the racing game. The bots in single-player races use the names, cars of your friends in your friend list. Saw my buddy's name next to me on the starting line. Hadn't talked to him for a while, so I gave him a call. Number was disconnected, and I realized I forgot he died the year prior. I was a full-time photographer for years, mostly newborns. One of the families hired me to also shoot the baby's baptism. I somehow got the date mixed up, and I was unaware until I got a very stern email from the mother saying, "I don't know where you were." But I was so mortified and upset with myself. Their entire family had shown up for the event. Luckily they ended up forgiving me after initially being very upset, and we staged another, without their family, so they'd at least have pictures. But it sucked. Edit 1. Thanks for all the upvotes. Here was the email I got from the mother. An attorney. After missing the baptism again, she did forgive me. We did recreate pics of the baptism, and she even went on to hire me for more newborn photos when she had her next child. I was going through a breakup at the time, and I guess I had a major brain malfunction. Definitely the worst mistake I ever made professionally. For the record, you missed my daughter's baptism and first birthday today. October 11th. It was today, not tomorrow, as clearly indicated in the many emails I exchanged with you. Needless to say, we were devastated when we arrived at the church with only our cell phones to use to capture the moment. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event, to which we had family coming in from Orlando, Miami, Venezuela, and Boston. It would have been nice to capture those memories. Which of course was the reason we hired you and paid you in advance for the full amount. The opportunity to make this right has passed, so I think it goes without saying that we are making a full demand for the full amount, the $500. If you do not reimburse us immediately, we have no problem filing a lawsuit against you. I regret to even have to bring up litigation, but you really dropped the ball on this one. There is no reason to preserve the business relationship because we will never hire you again. Please consider us a former client only, and on behalf of everything holy, please do not use us as a reference. Edit 2. After several emails of me apologizing, they decided I could give them a partial refund because they wanted to help me out as I said I was. So sorry, and I felt terrible, etc., and had taken on too many obligations and made a grave error. They knew I had just gone through an awful divorce and had 3 little boys, plus had just got broken up with my first relationship post-divorce. Hi, I want to start this email by apologizing for my harsh words on previous communications. I was extremely upset at all the situation and sent the email in the heat of the moment. I am truly sorry about your whole situation, especially with your boys. I know in my heart that you are going through tough times. I can't imagine all the challenges you are facing right now. I also know you are a very talented photographer, and hence our desire to make this right. We were wondering if you were interested in doing a shoot at the church. It will be basically us in the same outfits and in her baptism gown. I still have to contact the church to ask for permission and work the logistic, with maybe a switch of outfit for baby. What do you think? Quote. My mom and I loaded up the car and drove a long way to my sister's house for Christmas. We had packed all her cooking. We had forgotten the presents. Drove 2 hours to the airport just to realize I forgot my ID on the kitchen table. Thankfully it was a domestic flight. They felt bad for me and let me on anyway. I was out on a road trip one summer Saturday evening. Stopped for fuel, snacks, and to check my phone. I had like 5 missed calls from different friends and a bunch of texts. Hit me like a sack of hammers. Shit, I forgot the wedding was today. Good friend was getting married. Like I'd bought a dress to go. Had made arrangements with a friend to share a hotel room. Was really looking forward to it. Somehow switched the weekends in my head. Even had touched base with friends the week leading up to it. Did some highly illegal motorcycling and got there by the time the reception was starting. Looked like a hot mess and my hair was an absolute disaster, but I still had fun. Working as an operating theater orderly at a hospital in the early 90s, I went for breakfast and forgot that I was supposed to take a bone that had just arrived via courier to a surgeon who had just prepped the patient for surgery. Left my phone on the bus on the last day of school. Scheduled a job interview and then completely forgot about it. Didn't remember until a week later. Turned on the spigot in the barn to fill the water trough. Started cleaning stalls. Turned the horses out. Got done. Went in the house. Went on about my day. Ate dinner. Went to bed. Got up the next morning. All of a sudden remembered I never turned the water off in the barn. Flooded the dirt floor barn. Damn river running out the back door. Massive water bill that month. I was catching a flight from Germany. Military base. Back to the US to visit family. The bus ride to the airport was 5 hours. As the bus was just pulling out, I realized that I had left my passport at home. Fortunately, I was the only passenger. The driver drove back onto the base. IA car and retrieved my passport. The whole debacle only took about 2,030 minutes. The driver was able to make up the time on the Autobahn. I left a bag of milk in my car for 5+ days in the middle of a 30°C+ week and wondered what the smell was. Worst smell ever, draining that second hand, but it was crazy. I spent about 6 months working with a team on a government proposal for funding to build a nursing home. I can't tell you how much effort was spent on it. We submit and get rejected almost immediately. One of the criteria was that you had to have this specific engineering firm basically thumbs up all the work you got your own architects, engineers to do. It was very specific. And the guy in charge of that just forgot to do it. Maybe not my biggest, but one I will always remember, was when I forgot to bring a button-down shirt for family photos. My wife, stepdaughter, and I were scheduled to take family photos together about an hour and a half away from home. I had my suit with me, and assumed that my button-down shirt was hanging with it. It was not. I had forgotten it at home. And as I opened the trunk of the car, my heart sank out of my chest as I realized my mistake. My wife had scheduled everything and all I had to do was make sure I had everything prepared. I felt horrible the entire drive back as I was so mad at myself for forgetting it. I used to have a pet lizard and her heat lamp was set to a timer to turn on in the morning. One evening, I put the lamp on the floor so I could clean her tank. Obviously I removed the lizard as well. Put the tank back together. Put Oli back in her home. But I forgot to put the heat lamp back on top. I woke up to a weird smell. Big circular burn in the wood floor of my apartment. Forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer and Mom just got home. Sophomore year of college I took astronomy. It was a self-paced class. So you went into their computer lab and had 2 tries per day per unit. And sign up for the labs when you have time. It was across campus and I figured, hey, I'll get around to it next week. 2 months pass and I'm working on a paper for another class and I suddenly realize I've completely forgotten about astronomy. My adrenal gland was kind enough to dump its contents then and there. Thus begins my mid-October mad scramble to cram an entire course into a few weeks. But I did it. In fact, I was done by mid-November. Completely. Something came up and I went to drop by the astronomy building for something the following weekend. Realized that, with lines queuing up around the block, plenty of people had a similar revelation in late November. Next year will be my 20th anniversary of graduation and I still have nightmares about similarly missing a class. I was heavily pregnant with my second child and my first was a toddler. It was one of the hottest days of the year and I strapped my daughter into her car seat and then got in the car to turn it on and leave. I had serious mom brain and forgot my sprinkler was still on. So I got out to turn it off. As soon as my door shut, I realized I had locked both my daughter and my keys in the car. I immediately called 911 and although it only took a few minutes for the fire and police to get to my house, I was extremely scared for my daughter. I started crying and then she started crying and it was a hot mess. If the authorities took any longer to get there, I definitely would have smashed a window to get my daughter out. Anyway, the firemen were able to get my door unlocked and my daughter was a little sweaty. But fine. The cop actually had the audacity to say to me, "I'm not going to press charges this time. But if I ever have to come back here, you're in trouble." Well, that same child is about to start college. She's great and I never had any other oopsies with either child since. So we're good. I once witnessed the 30-second deterioration of someone's mind as they realized they had forgotten to assign referees to an important college athletics event. This may not sound important, but imagine two teams, one of which has traveled across 6 states, 1,000 fans in the stands, and your home team waiting seconds before starting time and then everyone is like, "Hey, where are the refs?" This person's face fell off their body. No one died. Everyone lived. Nobody got fired. Some people got yelled at a little is all. But the look on the scheduler's face was like, it was like they had hit the nuclear launch button only to find out there was no threat. I forgot to buy enough vodka to make it through Sunday in a state that doesn't sell alcohol on Sundays. I ran out late Saturday night. Monday morning 8:50 a.m. I'm sitting in the liquor store parking lot waiting for it to open at 9 o'clock. Shaking, gagging, dry heaving, sweating and shivering, crying and a mental wreck. 9 o'clock gets here. I get my bottles and one of them is half empty before I even get out of the parking lot. 6 years sober.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.